Assalamu alaikum, friends. Welcome to the Zero Excitements channel. Why does nothing feel impressive anymore? Why does everything that once felt exciting now feel predictable, muted, and strangely ordinary? Why do moments that were supposed to feel big, memorable, and life-changing end up feeling like just another thing that happened and then quietly disappeared into the background of our memory? Why does excitement now arrive softly, stays briefly, and leaves without making noise? The uncomfortable truth is that we are living in a time where our minds are exhausted before the day even properly begins. Not because life has become harder in a traditional sense, but because it has become louder, faster, noisier, and constantly demanding our attention from every possible direction. Before your feet even touch the floor in the morning, your brain has already consumed other people's vacations, weddings, breakups, achievements, opinions, jokes, tragedies, scandals, glow-ups, and success stories. So by the time real life asks you to feel something genuine, personal, and present, your brain is already full, already overstimulated, already tired, already unimpressed, like trying to enjoy food after overeating to the point where taste itself stops making sense. And this is why nothing feels impressive anymore. Not because the world stopped offering meaning, beauty, or depth, but because we consume everything in advance. We spoil our own emotions. We Google answers before curiosity has a chance to form. We read reviews before experiencing things for ourselves. We watch trailers before stories, summaries before journeys, opinions before feelings. So by the time something finally happens, it feels familiar instead of surprising, expected instead of impactful, because surprise requires ignorance, and we slowly killed ignorance by knowing everything too early, too fast, and too often. Then we sit back, wondering why movies feel mid no matter how expensive they are, why music sounds repetitive even when it's new, why conversations feel recycled, why travel feels stressful instead of magical, and why success feels strangely empty even when we technically achieved what we once wanted. Nothing gets time to sink in anymore. Nothing gets space to grow roots. Nothing is allowed to unfold slowly the way meaningful things are supposed to. We don't truly experience moments. We process them. We don't live experiences. We archive them. We don't sit inside achievements and let them reshape us. We immediately move on to the next goal, because our brain has been trained to believe that fulfillment is temporary, but comparison is permanent. And comparison is everywhere, quietly whispering that someone else is doing better, faster, richer, happier, younger, more efficiently. So whatever you achieve starts shrinking the moment you look sideways instead of inward. Slowly, your mind learns a dangerous rule without ever consciously choosing it: that nothing is special unless it is extreme, bigger, louder, faster, more expensive, more dramatic, more visible. And once extreme becomes normal, normal becomes invisible. And invisible things can never feel impressive, no matter how meaningful they actually are.
On top of that, we optimize life for convenience instead of wonder. Food arrives instantly without waiting. Entertainment never ends without silence. Communication is constant without absence. But convenience removes effort, and effort gives value. Things that cost nothing emotionally slowly begin to feel worth nothing emotionally. That's why endless scrolling leaves you empty instead of fulfilled, because you experienced everything and nothing at the same time. Stimulation without depth, movement without meaning, and depth is where impression, memory, and emotional weight actually live. Then we blame age. We say, life gets boring after 20. This is just adulthood. This is how things are supposed to feel now. But age didn't steal excitement from us. Overstimulation did. Children are impressed by small things not because they are naive, but because their minds are quiet enough to notice details. Adults are unimpressed not because life is dull, but because their minds are constantly noisy, crowded, and distracted. There is no silence anymore, no pause between moments, no empty space between emotions. We jump from one notification to another, one video to the next, one thought to another, without allowing any feeling to fully form. And emotions need stillness to be felt properly.
Even happiness needs quiet to be recognized as happiness. Then there's the part we rarely admit. We turned happiness into content. If it's not post-worthy, it feels incomplete. If it's not validated, it feels unfinished. If it's not seen, it feels unreal. So even joy becomes a performance. You're happy, but also watching yourself be happy. Thinking about angles, captions, reactions, timing, engagement. That performance quietly drains the feeling from the moment itself, because you're never fully inside the experience. You're half present and half observing yourself from the outside. And nothing feels impressive when you refuse to fully enter it. As if that wasn't enough, we also made life painfully predictable. Algorithms show us what we already like, trends repeat until they lose meaning, formulas repeat until surprise disappears. And when surprise becomes rare, impression fades automatically. Because when everything feels familiar, nothing feels memorable. Shortcuts made it worse. Quick wins, hacks, overnight success stories inflate our expectations. So when we achieve something ourselves, it feels small and underwhelming. Not because it is small, but because we forgot that impressive things are supposed to take time, resistance, patience, and wait. And wait gives meaning. But we removed wait from experiences by living life on emotional fast forward. Even rest feels guilty. Even boredom feels illegal. Even though boredom was the space where curiosity, imagination, creativity, and excitement were born. The solution isn't dramatic. It's not deleting everything or running away. It's reducing noise, letting some days be boring without fixing them, letting some moments pass undocumented, letting some goals take longer. Because excitement isn't dead, it's buried under excess. And the moment you slow down, stop comparing, stop consuming everything in advance, stop living ahead of your own life, things start landing again. Food tastes better. Music hits deeper. Silence feels meaningful. Laughter lasts longer. Not because life changed, but because your relationship with life did. And that's the real reason nothing feels impressive anymore. Not because the world lost its magic, but because we stopped protecting it. And if this felt uncomfortably familiar, then welcome to Zero Excitements, where boring realities are spoken so honestly they stop being boring. Like the video if it exposed something you were avoiding. Subscribe if you're tired of being overstimulated and underwhelmed at the same time. And stay tuned, because in a world drowning in noise, the most impressive thing left might simply be feeling something real again. Like, subscribe, and we'll meet again in the next episode of Zero Excitements, where we'll make even more boring parts of life so interesting that you'll feel entertained while being bored. Allah Hafiz.